Okay, who else is there? Shaurya is here. Shaurya, hi.
Hi,
Hi,
hi. How are
Shaurya.
you?
Hi,
Hi.
Shaurya.
Hello. How are you?
We are all good.
All good. How are you?
Shaurya is here. Shaurya, hi. Okay, my so we
I hope I'm audible.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
are. You are.
Yeah. Perfect. Perfect.
you are audible and we are also live now. And Samir, whenever you get a chance, just share the link here. And now that we are live, we can get started. Thanks all of you for being here, and special thanks to Chinmay also for being here. Very last minute, Chinmay, but thank you for being here. I know that I texted you this morning that we all wanted to meet to kick off this series, but we all happen to know Akhilesh, and I wanted to talk about him and also celebrate him in general. And I thought today was a day we should do it without planning too much. So thank you for joining in.
Thank you for having me, Chetan, and thank you for doing this.
No, no, we all have been talking, obviously after the news, it was very hard for us to even accept. But then once we accepted, we all, keep sharing things with each other that, when I was at a concert the other day, Guns N' Roses, and that some song came, and I was like, you know that's the moment when you, it like, you have such good memories with someone and such impact Akhilesh had left in everybody's life in different degree. So we should definitely talk about that, and just a way to celebrate him. So thank you for joining in. Thanks Shubham, thanks Shaurya, thanks Sama. All of you, have also met him and know him in different capacities. But it's time we celebrate the man, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the other day, in fact, I was, he kept on telling me about, how he loved the street food in Delhi, and it was like a ritual that we used to have whenever he used to come to Delhi. I used to take him to, and I think Chetan, you also had this similar ritual with him during your time, with him over here in Delhi. And
I
the other day,
I'm saying I don't know if he took you to that butter chicken place ever.
I'm the one who took him to that butter chicken place. I don't know if he
Oh.
branded that as his own discovery, but that is definitely not the case. I'm the one who sort of introduced Aslam chicken
It
to
belongs
to
to
to him.
you. The
Oh
Yeah,
man.
copyright is yours.
and it was, to paint a picture of that. It was like winter, one of the winter nights, and really really dark. And this place is also there, like in a very very shabby chavdi bazaar kind of an area.
Yeah.
And we parked a car there, took that manual rickshaw which you see in old Delhi near Chandni Chowk, right? And went to those narrowest lanes. And it had rained also, I remember, because it was completely drenched, and it was like a mad terrible scene. But somehow we made it to the place, and then that is, I believe, one of the many core memories that I have with him, right? And yeah, so the other day I was chatting up with someone, and this memory just popped up into my head, and I was like, damn, I miss the guy. Yeah.
No, I think that butter chicken place, I remember he sent me a video also to sell me on the concept. And then we like, man, I've lived in Delhi all my life. How come I never had it? And then we went to that place, you're right, on a rickshaw or walked, I don't know what. But he was leading the charge. He's like, I know where it is, come. And then that building, right? It's such a small building, and then it's actually four floors of just people eating butter chicken and naan. There's nothing else. So
Yeah,
we walked to the
exactly.
first floor, we couldn't get a spot. We walked to the second, we couldn't get a spot. I thought now the man will give up, like this, the place is full. And then he's like, Chetan, don't worry, come up. So then we went to the third, and finally we got to fourth floor. We have this seat, one table left, and
Yeah.
that was crazy. That butter chicken, I don't know, man. That was. all butter, but we enjoyed it. I think that night we also went to Kareem's after that, and I took him to Kareem's. So yeah, of course, I think he definitely was a foodie, and and
So, and in
uh,
fact, food was a big part of our relationship, right? Food is
yeah,
what we got introduced on. Food is what we always really vibed on. You know,
yeah,
if I was in Bangalore, if he's in Delhi, just food had to be a huge component of our life with
yeah,
each other.
yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, it has to be. That's one reason he had friends in Delhi, because
Fair
he
enough.
left food. Chinmay, remember the time when Shubham, me, you, and Akhilesh, we were at your
Yeah.
balcony? That was another memory I have of our time
Yeah.
together, right? Like the last time when we three were actually kind of together. I met Shubham first time
Me
in
too.
that
Me
Yeah.
too. I
balcony.
met you the first time then.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Right.
and I remember then Chinmay must have ordered something nice. Food was also part of it. And then
Yeah.
he took us to the room. I don't know if this is not the same room, I guess, right? Where the
No,
guitar,
yeah.
the
No, this is his study with the guitar and everything. Yeah.
oh really? Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I
This
remember
is where
sitting.
yeah,
Uh,
you were sitting here. This is
we
where
were
he
sitting.
sat always. This is his workspace. Yeah.
Yeah. So like I remember the guitar thing. Was it in the other side of the wall, like where you're
Yeah,
sitting?
you.
Can you show if you don't mind? Like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, those guitars there. Yeah, I
Beautiful
remember.
guys.
So he was actually that. You remember that favorite song of Pink Floyd that both of you told? I think Yellow Submarine or something. Uh,
I remember
Beatles,
that.
yeah.
so
Yeah.
what was the story behind that Yellow Submarine? I remember he mentioned that song and he really liked it. There was some story I don't remember now, but he did mention it.
Yeah, I think that Yellow Submarine, because we love Beatles and Akhilesh loves scuba diving. So we would go very, very deep sea diving. And I think he always wanted to explore things that were, unknown and impossible. So I
Yeah.
think that's where the Yellow Submarine, the love for that song, the love for the deep blue sea, the love for everything unknown came from.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like he was always, that's why the deep tech guy, right? Like
That's why
he
he's the deep tech guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and talking about the impossibles, I felt I mean for him nothing really was the way he used
Yeah.
to talk and tell things. And I would like to take Shorya's thoughts also on Akhilesh. When did you meet him first, and when did you feel he's really the impossible guy, like who can think anything? Did you have any feeling with him in your interaction?
Yeah. So I mean, I reached out to him and I was like, I mean, we were building this community of VC enthusiasts, so people who want to essentially invest and learn how to do so. And as soon as we reached out to him, it was like, wow, this is great, right? And I think over a period of time, I learned that Akhilesh is someone who loves to support initiatives that essentially create more awareness around what's essentially going on, right? And helps people to essentially delve deeper into whatever they're super passionate about. And I still remember this, a couple of instances. So there was this meetup that we were doing in Bangalore, and this was at the TDK Accelerator, the space that they had just opened up. I think at that time, this is last year. And I just called him. I was like, Akhilesh, we are doing this meetup, and can you just come in as a panelist? And quite literally, we had the event the next day. It's like, yeah, you guys are doing this and you're doing this for awareness, right? I was like, yeah, I'll be there. And quite literally, just like that, he came and he did not ask any questions. And that was the first time where I realized that, okay, I mean, I know a lot of VCs and a lot of them are very helpful. But I think Akhilesh always stood out as someone who's willing to, take those additional steps, right? And I think at that time, I was just getting to know him, to be very honest, right? I think my interaction with him this year was fairly high. I think he made, by the way, he makes the best coffee ever. So I when
Yeah.
I when I went to his place, that blew my mind. I mean, I quite literally, I told Darika, my fiance, that I mean, you haven't tried that coffee. That's way better than what you make or anybody else can possibly make. Because my mind was blown, and I told him I was sitting spellbound, holding that cup of coffee, and I was like, wow, this is so good. I've never had anything like that in any of the cafes that I've ever visited. um and yeah, he was always there, which is something that I've not seen people do, especially, so I'm essentially younger than I think most of the people in the room, I guess. So for me, Akhilesh taking out so much time, he always made sure that he was there wherever I was struggling with anything. He was like, Shore, I'm just one call away. And over a period of time, I started reaching out to him a lot more often than I used to reach out to other people. And I think that's where we started building this friendship. So we've had late night conversations where he's spoken about how he looks at spirituality, which is again not a part of the conversation that I expected to have with him, but that is how the conversation kind of evolved. And I was like, wow, this guy, he can think so much deeper than so many other people out there, and he's super kind. Somewhere inside, he's always there. He always wants to give back, which is incredible. So apart from how he looks at deep tech, the kind of love that he has for founders in general, and the way that he appreciates how founders kind of go through that struggle, is absolutely amazing. I mean, I think that is probably one of the biggest differentiators. That is why I mean, the number of founders who know and appreciate and love Akhilesh is
Yeah.
absolutely top notch. And I think I've not seen those kind of numbers, those many people love or appreciate a VC as much as Akhilesh. So I
Yeah.
think that itself speaks volumes about what he was doing for the community. And I think I was super lucky to be one of the founders that he was like, I love your vision, I love what you're doing. And obviously he had his own ways of kind of validating how the founder is thinking, right? And
Yeah.
he kind of has those benchmarks and those standards that he kind of maintains for himself, right? Which was quite incredible.
I'll,
uh
I'll
so
talk about
so so yeah.
I'll talk about validating. Sorry to interrupt you. He
Yeah.
actually called me after our event and asked me, "How do you like Shoreya?" Because obviously he likes you, and then because I think he was thinking of possibly investing in some kind, or I don't know, but he was
Yeah.
generally chatting,
Yes.
and that's what he did with his community and people, because he was always bringing the human side, I would say, to the thing,
Absolutely.
right? While whatever any founder must be doing, great numbers look good, but he always thought, how's the founder as a person, right? And just like, do a vibe check, and that's why he went out to eat, or he
Yeah.
went out to do different things. He had a different style, right, Chinmay? Like, in the
Yeah.
sense, how did you see him? Because he was giving a lot of time to a lot of people. So how did you see him, and what did you like in that part that you said, okay, it's okay.
Yeah, I have to say that he's so passionate about what he does and about bringing people together. And he's so passionate about being founder first. And he's so passionate about people. And his love is so deep for everything he does. I don't think anything is too early or too late for him. He's always available.
Yeah.
He'll pick up the phone at 2 a.m. He'll pick up the phone at 6 a.m. He's always there. There are a lot of times that I walk into this house and there are more founders, and I don't even know that, there's something happening because there's a crisis that they're solving, or there's something that they're celebrating, or there's some problem that Aki has foreseen in the future for the founder, and they want to solve it before, some, because the ecosystem and just generally people don't have to be the nicest. And Aki always wanted to have the back of the founders. He always wanted to be there. And I would always tell him that, I wish I have that kind of passion for something, because he just poured all of everything that he had into what he did. And I think the most important to him was people,
Yeah.
human, and taking civilizational forward, the five civilizational pillars that he brought into being, because he said that this is such a, it's a place where this is a world where there's so much hate, but he wanted to bring everyone together, and he wanted to create a safe space, especially for people building in deep tech, or just building in general, because it can be a very, very scary route. It is something where you give it your all, you give up everything, right? Like all of you are founders and you know it. It can be a very, very lonely journey, and he just wanted to be there. I adored him for that. I loved him for that. And he's just I just wish I can keep him alive in every possible way.
That's the plan. We should, and we would love to do that as well, like keep him alive in any way, whether it's just talking about him like we're doing today, or anything else, like whether even if it's just helping more founders, it's just in the spirit of Akhilesh, right? Like my
Yeah.
friend used to take out time, I can take a little extra time, right? Like he did this, I can do this. So that is, I mean, I think for me, that's something that is happening a lot, that,
Yeah.
I feel like I relate in certain situations and feel like, this is what he told me always. He always suggested me something, and some things I didn't do because I mean, you can only do as much. But now I
Yeah.
try to push a little extra. Like, okay, he told me to do something like this. Maybe I should do it because I think he had the best intentions, also the best knowledge. I think the knowledge. I mean, I just got obviously blown away always. He was a lot more knowledgeable and smarter than me, and I accepted that. And somehow I still asked him to, sing a song on my podcast, which he did. And I was actually that day I became a fan of him. I'm like, this guy is knowledgeable as well as cool. I mean, that's the best case
Yeah.
scenario, right? So that's what happened. And talking about somebody cool, Zaran just walks in. He knows when to walk in into a meeting.
Yeah. I
I think
also do want
Chinmay
to
mentioned about,
go ahead, sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
please. So I think you spoke about foresight, right? That he could kind of see things, see founder problems in advance, and that was incredible. Like the way, so he kind of predicted that, okay, now you guys will be doing this, and then this is going to happen, and then this is going to blow up. And Rajan and I, as founders, we were like, okay, like he's just, and these are again one of the earlier interactions that we were having with him. So he was just, we felt that it's going to take some time for him to understand what we're trying to do. Although we are not a deep tech startup and we were not doing anything super complex, and we would have probably been the first non deep tech startup that he would have invested in, right? So and that entire prediction kind of came out to be true, and we were blown away by that, because the way that he's able to think so many steps further, and he's also able to kind of account for externalities and what's going to probably happen, and that entire thinking happens in a very, very short period of time. So the pace at which he thinks is absolutely incredible. I mean,
Yeah.
that was so inspiring for both of us, because we were like, hey, I mean, how are you able to focus on so many other businesses, which of course you are not owning at that time, but you are essentially owning the problem, and you're able to kind of suggest great solutions in a very short period. So I think that's again something that I've not seen in a lot of VCs. And again, one of the best things, another thing that I really, really admired about him was his willingness to be open for ideas and for thoughts. He was never a closed-minded friend or an investor. So if you
Yeah.
were recommending or suggesting something that was not conventional or not something that he even initially agrees upon, he was willing to get molded by that idea if it made sense to him, which was
Right.
great. And I know it doesn't sound that incredible in terms of when you're hearing me with talking about it, but being in the ecosystem, I think every founder can appreciate that this is a super rare quality. You don't
Yeah,
find it anywhere at all.
Right.
Yeah, please
Absolutely.
go on.
absolutely.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I'm so glad you said it because, he's constantly thinking about each one of you, because you'll be surprised how much his parents and I know about every one of you. Because I haven't met you, Shaurya, but I know what you're doing because he's so passionate. He comes home and he'll tell us that he met you, and then he's like, "How can we help him?" And he'd always have questions, and he's always thinking about everybody he knows. And I've had my jaw drop so many times because of just the way he thinks. And for him, be it an investment or not, the money or the check that goes into a founder is just a formality, because the day he puts the check, he writes it off, because he said that's just a formality. I'm in it for them. I'm in it to win it for them. I want to do everything possible, like that, that I can for them. So he's constantly thinking. And I'm also very, very, I'm always in awe because I'm like, how can you process so much at once? How are you here and there and everywhere? And I admire that about him, and I've always been shocked by that ability. And I think it comes from so much love for each and every founder he meets, so much passion for life, so much passion, to take the civilization forward.
Yeah.
Shubham, I'll take thoughts of you and Sama both, but Zaran, since he's joining from outside, I want to take his thoughts first. If he can talk, wherever you are, man.
Yeah, I'm in Delhi. I'm in Delhi. Hi, everybody. Hi, Chin.
Hi,
I'm
Zaran.
out for a film thing, but it's my man, so I have to share. Like, see, there's nothing I can't say that's already been said before. Yeah, like a true founder's friend, a guy who really looked at businesses, but not first as the business, but as the person and how to help the person, right? But what I like to share about Akhilesh is our journey together. Like Akhilesh and I, we started this journey somewhat around the same time. We kept exchanging ideas, even complaints. But what really tied us together was humor. Like, I don't know if it's been said before because I joined you, but Akhilesh is actually one of the funniest people, right? Like the jokes, the stories I have with him. And every once in a while, Akhilesh and I would just sit down and just have a whiskey, a cigar, and just complain about life. And it would be the funniest, most enjoyable session, right? So the fact that you have somebody who's so incredibly smart, so incredibly dedicated, just such a wonderful human being, all these positive things. But I don't know enough if enough is said about how funny he was. Like the ability to
Right.
just take a random situation, make it light, make a silly joke, get everybody to laugh. That's when he and I bonded the most. I think Akhilesh and I have done more musty in our journey together than actual work talk. Even when, like I would invest in a company and tell him to do it and he didn't, I would rib him, ki tune mistake kiya. And then right back at me when I would miss, like I remember Sarla Innovation, like how much you told me to do it. And then I chickened out. Obviously, he's a better deep tech investor than I'll ever be. How much fun he made of me. And like at one point, he and I were already planning on starting things together. And even in that, 99% of our quote unquote planning things together and starting things together was making fun of one another. And that's one thing, like you just don't get. And that's something I want to miss about him the most. Yeah. Like, what a genuinely fun guy to be around.
Of course, man. I mean, that's what when you entered, I was saying the same thing. Like, who would actually sing a song, right? Like everybody did it later on, but he was the first one who did it, and then everybody thought, oh, if Akhilesh can do it, probably we can also sing, and then maybe, I think he was really fun, and even in that Head Start event that we all were together in, that was an epic. I think when you and Brinda were, in Bangalore, remember, Chin? And then
Yeah.
you both obviously missed it, but me, Zuran, and Akhilesh, we had a crazy time. And I have a video of Akhilesh and me doing this that hand thing, that round thing, क्या बोलते हैं उसको, which
I've seen that
Full jari or
one.
something.
full
Yeah.
judy.
Yeah.
So
We did a full judy for like full 30-45 seconds with like who will fall down first, and we kept doing it. So I've had like those moments with him, so I can totally vouch for how fun he was. In fact, Shubham, you, me, and Akhilesh also met at like a fun like time, but we did really some deep talks as well that night. Remember?
Yeah, I remember very, very clearly. I agree. I mean, so many memories, man. I just can't stop smiling hearing all of your stories and all of your memories and time with the guy, and it all is so consistent all across that he was always this one guy, and all of us I feel have very, very similar stuff to say about him. And yeah, I mean, insane, right? I mean, I can only think of the things which the excitement that used to be on his face when he used to come in Delhi, and like he always used to like make plans, and he was always wanting to try new stuff. Introduced him to golf, and introduced him to his apparently favorite whiskey, Singleton, and Aslam butter chicken, of course. Used to love to swim as well. Uh, so, and as an investor myself, I've always used to hear from folks, right, that we are always founder friendly, we are always this and that. That guy, I remember this one incident. We were driving back to my place in Delhi, and he was on a call, and he was ready to go to a war with somebody really, really influential, just because, a founder was not was not happy with, with something, right? And I think if there is one thing which I have learned from him, which I only saw on surface in others, is to how to go to that extra mile for the folks you have no relationship with, right? Even just understanding that passion of a founder, the kind of, he opened up a window, right, which was always there in front of me, but I never cared to peek into it, which is the life of a founder. He used to tell me about the kind of stuff he used to, you know solve for, or the kind of stuff that founders used to struggle with, the kind of life that the founders had. And even today, every time I write an email, and this, I'm not saying this stuff for the sake of saying it, but this generally happens almost like twice or thrice every week, right? That when I'm interacting with a new founder, or when I'm interacting with the portfolio founder, I've always had this question in my head: what would Akhilesh do,
Hmm.
right? Or what would he be like in this scenario, right? What lens would he go to, like, to just be himself, right? And I always try to take something out of that in my interactions, right? Yeah, I think I've been ever since I met him, I genuinely feel I have learned so much from him. Of course, not any of the deep tech stuff. I have zero understanding on that, but just genuinely how to be a nice guy, right? It's too much
Yeah.
to say on that, but yeah, I think it just really, really makes me happy that all of us have such very similar things to say about the guy. Yeah.
Yeah. Zoran is gonna do chaya chaya and sort of with everybody in the car, I guess. He's in a mood.
Yeah, I think that's in his name. Yes.
Exactly, man, because that song is already such an epic song, and now every time, I keep listening to it, I really feel, like, I'm just with him right now, right? Like it just feels some songs will give you that feeling forever, right? That's one song
Yeah.
for me. So
For
before,
me, it's like,
yeah,
and Chin has seen this, but
uh,
for me, it's like whenever I look at a cigar and a glass of whiskey, I'm like, yeah, whiskey cigar nights with Akhilesh, you know?
yeah, you always associate something with the person, right? But I know you're out with other people. Thanks for joining in. If you, I know you have to go, but we'll do it again, man. We'll see you soon.
For sure, for sure. Thanks everybody. Love to the family, Chin, and thanks everyone. I'll see you all guys soon. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Take care.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Bye bye bye.
So Chin, you should also talk about, because we are talking about the love for the founders and the kind
Yeah.
of insight he had, foresight. Uh, he's like the book. Let's talk about the book,
Yeah.
right? What
Yeah.
is that about? Because I knew that, he's writing one, and I thought for some reason it will be all specifically to deep tech, but it's more than that, right? So talk to us about the book.
Yeah, it's more than that. So it's called Deliberate Futures. It was supposed to be launching on the 18th of August, but right now we're going to publish it in December. I will come out with more details. I'll share it with all of you. But it is an early stage deep tech founders compendium. Everything that he has learned, everything that he has experienced, every problem that he thinks a founder faces, all of the five civilizational pillars that he thinks that are going to be what the basis of tomorrow is going to be. Everything's in this book, and I really hope that I can keep him alive through this book. So when the dates are out, December 2026, I will shoot out, and I hope we can kick this off in a very big way.
Yeah,
Amazing.
absolutely. And I've read the book. It's
You read.
absolutely top notch. Yes. So I think, so he wrote a personal note for me and Darika, my fiance. And we had also planned that in August, we'd be actually going out to different cities because at the VC Fellowship, we do a lot of these meetups. Chetan, you know about this. So
Yeah.
essentially, we thought that Akhilesh and I will be traveling together, and we'll be doing like we'll be talking about the book. And for anybody who's watching this, I can tell you it's one of the best. And not only for somebody who wants to build in deep tech,
Yeah.
I think it's more about how you look at problems, and he's done it in a very structured way. It's quite literally like a master class where Akhilesh is like quite literally there talking to you and having a conversation and kind of breaking down different concepts in terms of what's happening across tech, right? So anybody who wants to build in tech, anybody who wants to invest in tech, and anybody who wants to be a facilitator in the ecosystem in any capacity, they must go through this book. And I feel that this definitely is going to become a manual for anybody just wanting to understand this, and also a manual that you come back to every now and then, right? Because there are those moments that you're like, hey, I know this, right? But structuring your thoughts and kind of getting those fundamentals and those processes into action is not very easy. And I think that's what this book really helps you with. So if you're somebody who knows deep tech, or even if you're somebody who's getting started with tech in general, if you want to go and work in a deep tech startup, this is relevant across the board. So and it's a very well written book. I'm not making this up. I'm not saying this because I love Akhilesh. I quite literally finished this book off in a night.
Hmm.
And when you're reading more of a book which is little technical. I mean, at first I thought that this is going to be a technical book and I'll have to like digest this book, but I was able to download most of the information that was in it without actually feeling that I was kind of chewing on it, which is great, which means that it kind of flows. And it did not feel to me that it's the first time that he's writing a book. So
Yeah.
so yeah,
Tele-
I mean, I love the book, and I told him, I just like quite literally the next day I connected with him. I was like, it's a lovely book. So you've done an incredible job with this.
Yeah, I think he's a phenomenal writer because I don't think we had to
Yeah.
do much editing at all. We sat down as so my brother Aki, another friend, and we sat with Aki and he said, let's edit my book. And then we reached out to a publisher, and the publisher quite literally told us that we don't have to edit this book that much at all because that's how
Wow.
much he loved it and that's how passionate he was that we went over every line, we went over every little thing. There are some diagrams and models that he has conceptualized and done in the book. And yeah, probably because I love him so much, I say this, but this book is really phenomenal. I was shocked when I read it too, Shaurya. And he asked me, what do you think about it? And I said, this would be a book that I keep in my back pocket if I was a deep tech founder.
Wow. So, and you
Absolutely.
said not just the deep tech founder, but like for that matter, any founder, right? And
Any founder, absolutely anything. And I think it is so much about life also in it. He speaks about his dharma and what it is.
oh,
So, yeah. So
interesting. Now I'm excited. And when am I getting my copy, Chin?
yes,
How?
it's on the way. It just
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So I'll look forward to that, and now I'm excited to read it as well. One of the things he said, and I wanted to point out because when Shaurya was talking about investment, or even Shubham was like using his playbook, I heard one thing from him, and it just stays with me. He said, when I invest, and this was I think 3 4 years ago when he was probably not that big into investment, but early days, and he said, when I invest, it's the money I'm paying to give them advice. That's what he said. Because for the
Yeah.
love of growing a company, he wanted to be involved in some companies, and that's why he used to invest. Returns, whatever, he never even mentioned. And I was like blown away. My God, this makes so much sense. Maybe I should start doing it because there are certain companies you believe in, and if you invest in them, they would also see you as a believer, and they will come back to you for advice, right? And just seeing those companies grow from 0 to 1, 1 to 10, it just gives so much, I don't know, I mean, real purpose to your life, right? I think that was his purpose. He really wanted to make an impact, and it just shows because of that example.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Sama, you have never, you've not met him much. Sama is like, why do I
I've
not know so
I've
many stories about Akhilesh? But what is your, Since you know him the least, but what was
No, no,
your impression?
I met him in the HSX that happened just the beginning of this year.
Yeah.
So I think when you guys just started talking in the very beginning that he was very patient with founders, and he was with Head Start before I was. So when I met him, he was on the panel. We were in the middle of the event. So much was going on. We were late, of course. So all that was happening, and his event was at 2, and then at 3, and then at 4, and he was like, I know, Head Start does this. It's okay. He was the only guy that was not pissed off. So, well,
He's
that's
chill.
my picture seems to coincide with the rest of you.
Chill vibe, always chill vibe.
Yeah. And I
Yeah,
knew,
because he
yeah, that
always
was my vibe
everyone
check. I was like,
understood the
this
other
is,
side.
yeah.
Yeah, he was chill and he always
So
understood
that's
the
my
other side.
story. Seems to corroborate.
I just wanted to like read out like a message that I got from Akhilesh, which and like I know like a lot of VCs say this, a lot of investors say this, but again I think this has already been talked about that he really means it. So he says, when I choose to align with a company, it's because I feel it is my own, which is why just one a year. Hence, my investment is not an indicator of my conviction, but my time is right. So I know that Akhilesh was kind of very he used to like help out a lot of founders, even like a lot of founders that he was not invested, monetarily in. And he talked about how when he's kind of helping out a startup with his time also, it's like he's owning it. Like he's like that founder becomes a part of my family, and
Yeah.
I think that's how he kind of treated those founders. So
Yeah.
and that is very I know like a lot of investors also talk about how it's important to like not get so emotionally attached with the founders that you're investing in. Akhilesh did get emotionally attached, and I
Yeah.
think he was quite happy doing so. It was a part of how he worked.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that was really very nice.
That's true because they did become family. Aki's parents knew everyone, and we've never ordered food just the two of us. We've always ordered extra because we know somebody's going to walk in that door, and every single time that has happened because this home is the home for every founder that he knows, every friend that he knows, and everybody that Aki knows because to him everybody was family and he believed in abundance. He said there's enough and more to go around, and I want people to understand that. And that was him.
Amazing. You know what, Chin, I'm just let's do one thing. Maybe if I am in India, I don't know, but Shaurya, you all can actually, shoot an episode of this live stream from that place and bring founders in that day. Bring
Of
about
course.
15,
Yeah.
20 founders. Whenever the book is launched, we can do something because that's where, as you said, they were always founders. And I think if you wanna, obviously, one of the things we can do to keep the legacy is just keep bringing founders in that room, right? I mean, it,
Yeah.
it will have so much of his energy, his blessing, his ideas flowing around, right? Uh,
Right.
I mean, we were also big fans of, Rick and Morty. Do you guys know that? Rick and Morty? He
Yes.
Yeah.
loved that show, right? He loved that show. Do you know Akhilesh loved that show?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. He loved you too, Chetan. I think you and Brinda were like
Oh,
more
thank
than
you.
family. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I would have to say he was the first one who said yes, even to my platform when I was briefly fundraising, thinking of, and it means a lot. Like, of course, he knew me and everything, all that is good, but he saw it as an opportunity as well. He always saw me as someone, who can do something meaningful, and it feels good when
Yeah.
you have somebody like that, right?
Absolutely. He said, I remember when you moved to Canada, he said, if anybody can do it, Chetan is the one who can shake Canada.
That's good. That's good to know. I mean, for him, I think I can do anything. So last when I came to India, I told him we're doing stand-up comedy, and Shaurya and Shubham both were there on that show. In fact, Sama was also there, and I told him, man, you have to come. So he was like, oh, I'm just coming from US 3 days before. I don't know if I can. I said, no, you have to come and you have to do stand-up comedy. So because I know that he can do it. I've heard those hilarious stories of, him and Zaran, as he was saying, they both were talking about one day that
Yeah.
what was that Golgappa some story. I don't know if
Yeah.
you heard, but that's the funniest story I've ever heard, right? Both of them. And then
Correct.
I told him you have to do that. And he's like, no, no, I'm not like you, sir. I'm not. You think I'm that brilliant? I'm not. Man, no, man. You underestimate. You already doing. You're writing a book. You are a VC. You have so much time to give. I mean, what brilliant, man. So there's always that mutual respect for that, and he always appreciated that. And yeah, that's why you miss someone more, man. Shubham is like thinking so many things to say, right?
Yeah, yeah. I have just constant memories going through my head. I'm just trying to pick which one should I talk about. Should I talk about the time when he was at my place and I kept him up till like 3, 4 a.m. and he had a flight at 5 a.m. because we were just laughing out loud with some of our friends and she knows about it. He was probably just like cursing me through the entire night and the next day. I mean, we have so much. I was in Bangalore, and this is actually very true, right? I was in Bangalore for over a year, and I used to tell Kanika, my fiance, about how earlier before I met Akhilesh, how lonely the city feels, and I coming from Delhi at the age at which I did, it was very difficult to like make friends. And especially being a VC, you're always networking, you're never socializing, right? And Bangalore being Bangalore, you're always just finding an agenda and somebody to talk to, right? And you're just never really talking. But even till today, right? Akhilesh is the only person whose place I've been to more than anybody else in that city. And you know he and I don't even like shy away from saying it that he is the only friend in Bangalore that I've made, right? And I when he came to Delhi and when he met me for the first time in my city, he saw Shubham being a Delhi guy and he was like, "Dude, what are you?" And I was like, "Bro, I was just trying to adapt to the city of Bangalore, and I don't know how, but you are the only person like that I've made a friend out of, right?" It's just uh, you know you just really can't find something that uh, you really can't find anything which you didn't like about him, right? Even when he used to like he played golf with me for the first time, and I had played 2 or 3 times before that. Idiot played better than I did the whole time, right? And I was just always like, why are you like this? Why can't you just let me outshine you for once in something, right? When it comes to food, when it comes to sports, when it comes to investing, when it comes to any area of life, right? He was just thousand times better at everything. So yeah,
Tough
just
guy to match, right? Energy to match. Samir,
yeah.
yeah, Chinmay.
No, he learns very quick
Yeah.
and he's very observant and he gets a lot of it from his mother.
Oh, nice. Which who I haven't met, so maybe next time I get to meet her as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, we should show that song, Samir, like the Chaiya Chaiya song. If the audio can also come, we'll share the screen because that was the moment that this song is now entrenched in my mind, at least. It's anyway such an epic song, but he wanted to sing this one. I told him, let's do Pink Floyd, Brick in the Wall, two, three options. But when I said Chaiya Chaiya, he's like, let's do this. So I was also surprised, uh,
That's his favorite song.
really? Oh wow, I didn't
Yeah.
know that. That is my favorite song too. Wonderful. So I'm knowing this today. Now it makes sense. Can you share the screen so that we play it for a bit? Uh, the Akhilesh part in the trailer, I guess. Is the sound coming? Just play. That's Nimesh. Yeah, this one. चल छैया 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 चल छैया 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 चल छैया 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 that whole thing, I'll find the whole video also somewhere in my raw clips. Thank you, Samir, for sharing. Actually, now I'm gonna go back to that recording. I hope we have it and find the whole recording of the raw of singing. Let's see if we can find it. But yeah, that's where I wanted to show also. And before we end this today's session about him, how did you feel, Chinmay? And thanks for joining. But how did you feel about talking about him and knowing his stories?
Yeah, no, thank you for doing this and thank you for keeping him alive. And I hope the book also keeps him alive. And I'll reach out when we get closer to the dates. I felt great, but I obviously miss him, and I think he's gone too soon because there was so many more people that needed him and his energy and his love. But I hope that we can keep him alive and take whatever he taught us ahead. It's felt really good to see all of you, colleagues, friends, family. You're actually all more than family. So thank you.
You're welcome. Before you go, I anyway do this thing, this prayer to the universe in all my live streams. But today, also, I want to say, and extra special day for me also to say this. So yeah, to the universe that made it happen today, we all are here and talking about the guy who actually believed in the universe, more than any of us, I can say. And wherever he is, I hope he's really smiling and really happy, contented with his life, and still blessing us with all his wisdom from wherever he is. His books coming up, and I want the book to reach out to most founders because I know it would be a book that will change their life and trajectory. And to all of you here, Shaurya, Shubham, Sama, Chinmay, hope you also get whatever you manifest in your life in the next few months. And that's my wish. And yeah, world peace prevails. That's it. Amen.
Beautiful.
Amen. Amen.
Thank you, Chinmay.
Thank you,
Talk
Chetan.
soon.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Good.
Cheers. Bye bye.
Yes.
I
Thanks, everyone.
Bye bye.
Right.
Bye. Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Thank you.
Awesome, guys. Uh, that was quite emotional, right? On live stream.
yeah.
Shubham, you
But it's
you
good that you did that. Yeah, it's good that he did that, and I think this is the first time I've spoken about him.
Mm.
Since the last time, and yeah, because I think you naturally tend to avoid, right, thinking about it, especially when nobody around you knows what has happened. Because especially, I don't know if this is something unique to me or something, but in because everybody in Bangalore, right, who used to interact with uh, Akhilesh, they all got into a circle. But here for me, it was just me and him there in Bangalore, right? So it was always just one-on-one kind of a relationship for me with him,
yeah,
and it's very difficult for me to talk about him otherwise outside
yeah.
of this community, right? And so probably that is why this is the first time I've actually had a conversation about this, about
Yeah.
spoken about Akhilesh with someone, and it feels really, really good to speak a few words on him. Yeah.
Happy to chat, man. The guy is always worth chatting. But we also
Yeah.
want to start this kick off this series, which is why I was more
Let's do
excited
it.
talk about him because he helped me kick off a lot of things, right? And then this series that I want to do on this live stream is, bring founders, fund managers who are raising funds, and talk about their fundraise journey and how they are pitching, and maybe help learn other early stage fund managers to learn how to pitch. That is why I wanted to kick off this series, and both of you are part of episode one of the series. Shaurya, your thoughts?
Yeah, so interestingly, the person that I had shared with you from the fellowship to join in,
Hmm.
I just realized she was actually referred to us by Akhilesh
Oh,
Roshni.
wow.
Can
Really?
you
You
believe
should.
it? And this is even before we got
Kismet.
to know that
Yeah.
that Chin would be also joining the call. I mean, that's that's just incredible. So I know like a lot of people in the community. I'm sure that they would be watching this in one way or another, and I think starting the series talking about Akhilesh makes a lot of sense. Uh, so he's been like one of the most followed people even in the community, and I'm sure that that this series needs to get that kind of more people need to watch it because there's just
Yeah.
so much happening in the investment space, and I think most of these conversations are not really very well structured, and here we are getting the right set of people to come and talk about it and talk about things that are otherwise not spoken of. So I think with your experience, Chetan, and I'm sure that this is going to do extremely well. And thank you so
Yeah.
much for having us there, having us over in the first episode. Hopefully, you will invite us again in future as well.
Of course, man. Today, obviously, it was about Akhilesh, but
Yeah,
you interact with so many VCs on in other capacities, but
yeah.
you know how they go about raising funds, right? You That's like sort of a compounded knowledge now you also have, right? And 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 me, Vrinda, Sama, Shuchi from our team, all four of us have also worked with so many fund managers on their presentations, the LP decks, right? So there's so
Hmm.
much of knowledge that we also have, to bring in the
Yeah.
right people and have a good dialogue around what's it like to raise funds, as a fund manager. It's always about the
Hmm.
founder content. Everybody now knows, right? There's so much, and we keep talking that too in all our other
Hmm.
episodes that we do. But yeah, this specific series had to be done for how to raise funds from an LP. Shubham was the first person I spoke to about it. Manga, Shubham, you wanna come, and talk about it? He's like, I love talking about it. So Shubham, what was that? Like you said, you love talking about it, and
About what? Sorry, I got logged off for 30 seconds.
no problem, no problem. So yeah, I mean, talk to us about your experience and just your knowledge of this subject. Raising from LPs.
Oh yeah. So because LP interactions for me have been at an all-time high now because of the current setup I'm at and the current setup that I'm building over here at Centricity, which is essentially to organize the family office participation towards more and more direct equity investments rather than the traditional way of doing it, which is them putting their money into an AIF or a fund and then becoming an indirect shareholder into the portfolio, which they typically do not have any control on. So the more I have, the more I interact with the family offices, the more I realize how disorganized the information dissemination is over here for the family offices. The kind of preconceived notions that the older generation of the builders come with, the kind of
Hmm.
baggage they come with, the kind of prejudices they come with, right? If you and Because I have seen the kind of I've seen the kind of a fund or an institutional process, and now that I'm seeing the side of the family offices, right? It's completely opposite, right? It's completely different. We talk about how India is 20, 30, 40 years behind US. I would say family office perspective on the startups and their direct equity investments is far far behind than that as well, right? So because here in the VC community, we've beyond the point where we only invest in you know target MBA graduates, right? We are far beyond the point where we only look at or we only speak to IITIM folks, or look at only tech, SaaS, etc. Right? People on this side of the spectrum, people at the family office spectrum, they are still talking about SaaS. They're still talking about the older notions, and that is entirely the case because nobody has ever tried to you know educate or build more and more awareness about how a seed stage founder or how an early stage company looks like or is built from in today's generation, in today's scenario, right? You talk to a 40-50 year old guy who built industries and very very large successful industries, right? But we talk to them about a GTM strategy which is reliant on your social media, it just doesn't ring a bell with them, right? And that is when you realize that you have to bridge a very 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 wide gap. When you talk to family offices, you can't just assume that because they have money and because they have not seen in the sector, it'll be easier for you to convince them. No, you have to speak to them in their language. You have to speak to them in a way where you take things from the scratch, and then always 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 talk about things from a first principles approach. Never try to talk about okay, this is the kind of
Mm,
million user acquisition rate that we are planning on. Always talk about
mm,
how will it happen, why does it make sense for you to acquire a million users, right? Sure,
mm,
a channel of acquiring consumer can change, but the principles which are there behind acquiring a
mm,
consumer or a user always remain the same. So always try and learn the kind of language they use, the kind of conversations they have. Always try to understand that, interpret that, analyze that, and then pitch it to them, because if they don't understand the words coming out of you, they will never feel comfortable with you. And one last thing which I have to mention is, how we as VCs, or at least at growth stage, or at a series B or a series C stage, we are always looking at the numbers, we are always looking at the business models. Even at growth stages, these guys are always still talking to people, right? They don't care about your Excel, they
mm.
don't care about your fancy decks, they don't care about anything which you would presume, because you've been adapted to speak to a VC, or to speak to an institutional investor. Here the playbook is completely different. This world is completely disorganized. This world is
Yeah.
completely everything which you will have to unlearn a lot.
Yeah. So much to learn, right? So maybe through this series of how to pitch to LPs, we can bring some LPs as well into the conversations to bring in their thoughts, right? Like how do they look at fund managers, for example, who
Absolutely. And Chetan, another very interesting trend that I've seen emerging is the new generation folks, right? People who have got liquidity
Hmm.
from their IPO exits, right? People who are far younger, who built more recent businesses,
Yeah.
they they will always feel familiar to you, right? They will
Yeah.
always feel familiar to the kind of businesses or founders we're talking about. And it is always good to have them on the cap table, because they will try to bridge that gap, because they have, in one way or the other, they have scaled that journey in their
Yeah.
own time, either at an early stage or at a growth stage or at an IPO stage, right? At some point you have to interact with with your LPs, or with investors of your fund investors,
Yeah.
at some point. um, so it is always good to, when you are pitching to an LP, it is always good to understand the profile of the investor, and try to sort of bridge that gap, like I said mentioned before. Yeah.
Yeah. Shaurya, for your VC fellows, how helpful is these sort of conversations?
No, I think it's super relevant, right? We've got a bunch of folks who are in the process of setting up their own funds. I think they've like these are not just people who are looking to just set up syndicates or networks, but they're essentially in the. I think a couple of them have already got it registered, and they're going live in a couple of months. So, but there are some very interesting problems that I've heard from people who are in that process. I think I agree with Shubham on, with respect to the fact that funds that are, family offices are becoming very, they're right now in that process of opening up to the possibility of directly making investments, which I think wasn't the case for a fairly long time, right? I think traditionally it was all about investing in AIFs and existing structures and, kind of leaving it to the fund managers of those funds instead of taking those bets themselves. But I think a lot of family offices or folks who are from family offices who are also part of the community in the fellowship, we are also seeing them now being very open to making angel investments and getting their hands dirty, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not necessarily burnt. And I think some of these individuals have also been fairly successful in terms of the kind of returns that they've got, right? So when they look at some of these funds performances over the last decade, and if you compare their own performances with some of these funds, they've done relatively better also. So I think they're also now gaining that confidence that, hey, we don't only have to rely upon VC funds to deploy capital into early stage or growth stage startups. And I think that's where there's definitely an opportunity. I think we're also seeing that trend where a lot of these micro VC funds are, they're able to successfully go out there, show that new age smaller funds are able to deliver significantly higher returns. And if these folks have been founders in the past, like Shubham was talking about, they also have that understanding in terms of where to kind of just come in and not just help with the capital but also help with the strategy and the execution side of the things. So I think we are also seeing some very interesting structures where VCs themselves are looking for LPs who are more happy to also contribute as industry experts. And this is not just something that I'm seeing across newer funds that are opening up, but even I think the larger funds are becoming more and more open to such kind of models, right? Which
Yeah.
is great, I feel, for the ecosystem also, and even for the fund, because that allows their startups to get access to these individuals directly, which I think wasn't the case back in the day. So I think as an ecosystem, we are definitely seeing a lot more maturity. I think whenever there are more options and we see more of these options essentially working out, at least say for the top quartile, that very clearly shows that there is some kind of maturity that is happening,
Mm.
and that's really really good for the founders as well, all in all.
Yeah.
Because now I think there have been a lot of conversations, if you look at it in the last few years, about patient capital as well, right? Obviously, I think Shubham knows
नहीं
more
नहीं
than I
शौर्या,
do about
एक
this
सेकेंड
anyway, but
बिफोर वी गेट
yeah.
देयर, तेरे को भी थोड़ा ब्रेक लगाना पड़ेगा. यू हैव सो मच नॉलेज, सारा पैशन एक साथ निकाल देता है. So 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 point is that if one more reason to join this series is because हमारा अर्नब गोस्वामी will give you all the news about all masala about the VC ecosystem. For me, you are that guy, man. So you need to, whenever you join, you need to join as that Arnold Swami gig, right? All the VC landscape news. You become that news person for VCs in India, man. You will that's how your persona should be.
I'm actually planning to experiment with that on Instagram also.
नहीं नहीं,
After what
अरे
happened,
अरे डू इट
मैं
ब्रो.
सोचा है कि अभी
क्या
we're
वेट कर
gonna
रहे
make
हो
some
यार?
reels,
अब next time you join this also, ना, you join like that and you give all the updates.
like
uh,
in a blazer and goggles.
yeah, yeah, but
I was
bring
actually
in, I
expecting
think.
you to come out that way only. This is a completely new
Really?
personality that I've seen you. Yeah, because the first time I saw you, you were in just in that complete Arnab Goswami zone,
Yeah.
right? And it was Ethan's previous event in itself. So yeah, I was a little disappointed when I saw you without it.
देख ले यार, एक्सपेक्टेशन ऑलरेडी बढ़ गई है इतनी. अब व्हाट व्हाई आर यू कमिंग लाइक, सो नेक्स्ट टाइम यू डू दैट. And next time also bring in some VC fellows in this discussion,
Yeah,
because for them
absolutely.
it can be some questions some which they can learn while having a conversation, and there can be perspective that they can add, people who want to become VCs, right? So I think it can be a
Yeah,
great
yeah,
addition, having VC fellows come in and join this discussion as well. So
absolutely.
I know today we took only 1 hour, and obviously, Akhilesh discussion was actually could have been longer, but we need to do another of this where we deep dive into this, and with Shubham, I think you will have a lot more thoughts, right? Like from the centricity angle also, since it's a well tech platform. Talk to us about that before we drop off, about your role here at Centricity, and why this topic is even more relevant for you.
Yeah, absolutely. So the entire reason why I decided to take a very big step in a completely uncharted territory over here is because I understood that sure, okay, family office participation in the country in terms of their capital participation is exploding, but there were still few very relevant gaps in the market from an investor business model point of view, right? One is that right to access. Now when we talk about the right to access the right deals at the right time, what I mean by that is, how in the early stage ecosystem or the growth stage ecosystem, the best deals or the right deals will always come to the institutional investors first. And what ultimately end up coming onto the table to the family offices are the ones which have the mid scale to even large scale family offices are the ones that have not been taken up by the institutional investors, largely because of something not being right with the business model or something that needed to be improved upon, right? So the family offices never really got the access to the best of the lot. They always got handed the leftovers. That was the biggest gap which I saw, because these are the guys who are writing the primary checks, whether it's in a fund, whether the check is into a company, right? That is the source of the capital. So how is it that they do not have the right access? Second major important uh, gap in this entire ecosystem was you know how in early stage you're talking
Mhm.
about 25, 50 lakh, 1 crore kind of check sizes for
Yeah.
investments, right? These kind of check sizes for the larger family offices do not even move a needle, even if you offer 100x return on those checks, on
Mhm.
all of your checks. Even if you offer that, we are talking about 2000 crore of deployable wealth at the
Mhm.
hands of the family offices, right? 10 lakh becoming a 10 crore is not going to do anything for them, or
Yeah.
even a bit of a number. So early stage does didn't never made any sense for them. So it was way too risky. It was way too out of their out of their gamut of things. On the growth stage, on the other hand, the round
Yeah.
sizes were such that single family offices could never really take up the entire round, or even if they could, they would never choose to do so, because there was nobody who could put their foot down and tell them that, or their team, who could become a lead investor, who could drive value, who could bring far more value out of the round, price the round. Even after the investment is over, how you structure the board, how you structure the portfolio in terms of your relationships, performances, etc. It is completely all over the place, right? So this was the second area of interest for us, where we chose to work with the kind of family offices who had large enough appetite to get combined and then get represented by somebody who understands institutional expertise, who has the processes, who has the overall playbook on how to invest at growth stage, and sort of basically represent all of their interests through you know as a collective on the cap table, and as a collective to the founders, right? um, so right to access and the representation slash expertise is something which has been the biggest what you call it friction points for the
Mhm.
family office participations, and even for the founders, right? For a founder to raise, say for example, 50 to 100 crore, right, and they will have
Yeah.
to talk to 50 family offices instead of simply talking to 10 or 20 VC funds. As a founder, you would always want to talk to a VC fund, because larger check, better process, more institutional process, far more transparency, clarity, etc., right? And of course, not as many conversations as you would want to have with the family offices, and of course very similar conversations at the end of the day. So uh, with family offices, the case is that every family office is different, every founder, every promoter is different, every family office has a different process, different, you know it's different, just different parameters they would want to judge you on, right? So they would not naturally want to speak to all different kind of profiles. So for the founders, what we try to solve for is that you speak to one organization, Centricity, you go through the same process as you are familiar with, which comes naturally to you, which you have prepped for. And
Yeah.
on the back end, our job is to make sure that you don't have to spend your time in discovery of the family offices. Your time doesn't have to go
Okay.
into talking to different sort of profiles of the investors. We manage that entire
Yeah.
end for you. Yeah. So I think for the founders, for the family offices, we are trying to bridge that gap between them.
Bro, then very interesting. Then, you should also come more on these live streams because I think it's a good dialogue relevant for you as well, as far as centricity also goes. So
Absolutely.
excited to kick this off. But I mean, I'm
Looking
looking forward.
forward to it, Chetan.
Thank you, man. Today was a start, and of course, as we started, we had to, think of the man who always thought of these things ahead of its time, and I'm glad that we spoke about him. So for scheduling another time, we'll do it. But we for now, Delhi, Gurgaon, I think rain is pretty bad. Take care, and hope
Yeah,
you're in safe
I'll
space.
try. I'm praying, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. But no, great start. Lovely to meet you, Shaurya. And looking forward to more fun conversations.
All right, man. Shaurya, thank you. Arnob,
Thank you so much, Chetan.
thank you for
Thank you for
joining.
having me.
There you go. That's what I was
Bye.
looking
Take
We're
care.
going
for.
to do that. Yeah,
Bye
next
bye.
episode, I'll play the character. Thanks, Shubham. Lovely meeting
Bye.
you as always.
Of
Great
course,
guys.
man.
Bye.